Walked into a bush path and I quickly followed him. After 5 minutes walk, we came face to face with.
Hello, friends. I welcome you all to on today's episode on Estino podcast. So today we will be looking into a very beautiful and interesting story. A friend of mine sent her life experience to me, and with her permission, I would love to share it with you guys. So after the story, we will get to share our own experiences, give out our advices for people that are passing through such or might pass through it later. So here the story goes like this. I would like us to pay attention to this. Remember, Estino Concept is all about sharing our experiences, past life experiences, or even our current life experiences. Someone might have passed through that before, or someone might have known someone that passed through it before. They will share their experiences with you, how they handled it, how they passed through it.
I met
So you
him
might have an idea
in
on
the
how to
city of
handle
Port
it as
Harcourt,
well.
where I
So
resided.
let's pay attention to this story.
He approached me first with the idea of inviting me to a program in his church. We exchanged numbers and he was calling me almost every day to remind me of the program. I attended the program, and to my greatest surprise, he was a respected senior pastor at the church. After the program, he continued calling me most times to check on me, while sometimes to invite me to their Sunday services. We became friends, and one day he asked me out on a dinner date. I was already having the feelings that he was already having interest in me and might ask me out, which I was a little scared of because I never wanted to marry a pastor or man of God per se. I reluctantly agreed to go on the date with him, and he told me of the interest he had in me and that he would like to go into courtship with me. I couldn't give him any reply at the moment. I only told him that I would think about it. After a few days, we met after a church program, and he asked if I was done thinking about it. I replied him yes, since I had already made up my mind to give it a try. After 6 months, he wanted to propose, but I insisted that I would know his people and where he really came from, because I never met any of them. After a lot of arguments and my complete refusal, he agreed on taking me to his village. On the agreed day, we set off to his village, named Withheld. After 15 hours journey, we arrived where the bus dropped us, and I was relieved that finally this long journey had come to an end. But to my greatest surprise, or should I say disappointment, the journey had just started. We entered bike that charged us 10,000 naira to take us to the destination he mentioned. That was when I knew that there was problem. After like 30 minutes drive, we started driving through a narrow bushy road. At that moment, I became so scared. My mind started bringing up all kinds of scary ideas to my head. I checked my phone and I was completely out of service. I started praying so hard in my mind as I struggled to push away all those scary ideas my head was imagining. After about an hour, the bike stopped and we came down. As he was paying the bike man, I looked around. There was no single house in sight. I kept on praying, looking at my phone for any sign of service, yet none. The bike man left and it was just the two of us. Almost shivering, I asked him where we were going, and he only replied that we are almost there. He walked into a bush path and I quickly followed him. After 5 minutes walk, we came face to face with a very dirty swamp. He folded his trousers and asked me to fold up my gown and tie it. He then stepped into the swamp and I followed. We crossed to the other side and walked through a bushy path. Then I started seeing small huts around. We finally walked into a compound with two huts built facing each other. I was already expecting a big welcome from his people, to him as it should be. But to my greatest surprise, nobody came out to welcome us. We walked inside one of the huts and dropped our bags. There's just a single bamboo bed with a mattress on it. The room was so dirty and smelly with goats and chicken excrete. At this point, my whole body system had changed and I was already regretting embarking on that journey. He took out a loaf of bread and we walked out and then into the other hut. And there lay an old woman on a single bamboo bed. She didn't notice us walking in. Then I knew she was blind. He greeted her and I did him. The woman immediately recognized his voice, and from the look on her face, she was surprised and happy at the same time. And her question confirmed the expression. She asked him if everything was okay, that he had to visit the village. He immediately introduced me to her and she welcomed me. I forgot to mention that the whole room was oozing with the smell of urine. He handed the bread to his mother and we left the room to the backyard, and what I saw almost made me shout. My eyes caught the sight of a huge lady tied with huge rope sitting on the floor. Wait, is she mad? Who is she? He moved closer to her, said a prayer and turned to leave while I followed immediately. I couldn't wrap my head around everything that was happening at that time because they were too much and were happening so fast. So many questions that I didn't know where to start from. At that point, I had ended the relationship and turned down the proposal, but kept it to myself until I returned back to Port Harcourt.
Wow, wow, what a story we just heard. You know, when she told me these stories, many things came to my mind. I tried to view the story, like imagine it from different angles, you understand? You know, this is something that anybody, any lady that is due to marriage can experience at any time. And some have been experiencing this. Now let's talk about where this story started from. Everything was happening. The lady lived in Port Harcourt, or was living in Port Harcourt as of that time, and he met this man, a pastor, who was also residing in Port Harcourt as of that time. They met there, they fell in love, and decided to take it to another level. I will applaud the lady first of all for her insisting, you understand, to know where this young man was coming from, because a lot of ladies in our world today will neglect that. They don't care. Once we have seen a guy that I like, let's say as a pastor in a big church, he's well-to-do, he's living in a good apartment, maybe driving a car, or I didn't interfere going into his personal life, but I assumed he was living a good life back then in Port Harcourt. Now, many ladies would have just agreed to the proposal and do what? Marry the pastor with or without the family's consent. But this lady insisted, I have to know where you're coming from. I'm not going to know where you're coming from to compare or check how well to do you are, or categorize whether you're this or that. No, it is important, very important. We neglect this in our recent lives. When many ladies or many women, or should I say many couples, are married today in different cities, their life started there, their love life started there and might end there. The wife doesn't even know where the husband is coming from. If you ask her, yes, my husband is from this village, but do you know where your husband is coming from? Many doesn't know that, or many don't know that. You are not going there to know, maybe to compare anything or to check things out. There are reasons for everything. Okay, now look at this from this angle. This lady, upon her insisting, was able to convince the man, who I believe had not visited his village for a very long time, agreed to take her to his village. I'm not here to antagonize the structure or the stress traveling to villages. Yes, we have many of us that the road to our villages are worse than that, but that is not the issue there. Asking further, because I tried to observe what happened. A young man who, from the look of things, the lady guessed that this guy might have not visited his mother at the village for like almost 10 years. Who does that? Is that fair? You have a blind mom at the village and you haven't for 10 years. You were guessing. You haven't visited her, and you're a man of God in the city. No matter what you send, it's not up to your presence. Presence matters. Now this is the man that is coming to visit you. Someone that neglected his family. Now, looking at the environment, you want to bring a woman into your home. You think you have a home in the city, in Port Harcourt. Well, no, your home in Port Harcourt is not your home, because eventually, if there was to be crisis back then, I don't think he could have remained in Port Harcourt. He would do what? Go back to his father's land. That's where he belongs to. Well, he was so comfortable then in Port Harcourt, enjoying his life. All these things portrays in the life of the person you are about to marry. All these things are part of the things you consider. Secondly, he's a pastor. I asked further about, in her story, she mentioned a lady tied. So I asked her, did she try to find out from the man who the lady was? And she mentioned that the lady was the wife to the first son of the family, so the immediate elder brother of the then fiance. And I asked myself this question. It is never possible that the young man married that lady as a mad woman. I'm not implying anything, but I'm implying something. It might be her fate. So I will leave the saying or the talking for you, my fans. I just did the little briefing there. The comment section is open. You can go there, drop what you think, your thoughts, also your advice to someone who might be passing through the same at the moment, or who might be facing the same challenge at the moment. It's important, how important it is to know the root or the background of someone you are about to deal with, or someone you are about to spend the rest of your life with. It is always important. So the comment section, go there, drop your thoughts, your advice. Then for those of you that would like us to share their stories on a Steno podcast, you can drop me a private message. Drop a private message to my DM. I will always be there to attend to you, and I will always keep the stories anonymous. Nothing about you will be attached to the story, so feel free, share your stories with us. Someone out there might need to hear your story to learn one or two things from it, or your advice might be able to save someone from doom. So I implore you, share, comment, and also do what? Like. This is very important. This is Steno Podcast. Welcome, and stay tuned for our next interesting experience. Thank you.